Hello, and welcome to my Fire Emblem 15 ETC playthrough. I'm USS Gordon Captain, here with,
Typhoon Carter.
and you're watching Alm 3-4, Attack on Desaix's Fortress. Before we go to Desaix, though, we have to take a pit stop into Luthier's village to get some items, recruit Luthier, and get some forges. So, Luthier is a mage who joined right as soon as we get access to forging, which is going to be a really powerful mechanic. Unfortunately, mages don't get access to this. However, he's still actually the best mage in Alm's route, so he has the powerful Excalibur spell, and he's going to be a pretty good unit. It's just he's not going to be as good as some of our other units. So, would you like to explain how forging works, Typhoon?
Now, for those who are not familiar with forging, forging has been a staple of Fire Emblem since Fire Emblem 9, and it's been in a lot of titles, but traditionally how forges work is that you might take one weapon, add a bunch of stats to it, be it hit, critical, or might, and normally magic is included. But in SOV, as Gordon noted earlier, like mages can't get their spells like forged or upgraded. Now, how forging works in SOV is that you have this currency in silver and gold coins, which instead of using like normal money, like most other Fire Emblem games, we would use them to basically upgrade weapons. Which, for those who have played Dark Deity, it's a little bit similar in that regard. And we have two forges that we need to make here in the Steel Sword Forge and the Steel Lance Forge.
Yeah, the steel lance will be useful for killing the Canor, and the steel sword is nice to make Alm a little bit better. Alm's previous weapon, the iron sword, had 2 might, and the steel sword will have 8 might, so that's like 6 extra might onto Alm. Clive's previous weapon, the Rider's Bane, has 4 might, and now Clive will have 8 might with his rider with the steel lance. So he like basically gained +4 strength for free.
More or less. And from the looks of it, we are going to enter Desaix's fortress fairly soon, and we finally get to confront Desaix, who may or may not have had a fake body double the last time we fought him.
Desaix's Fortress represents the beginning of the end of the first half of Alm's route. This is the last hurrah of the Lightning Sword. This is sort of the last hurrah of Mage Tobin. This is the beginning of the forging phase of the game, where we're going to be more or less focusing on physical units. One rounding with the Lightning Sword hasn't been a thing for a long time, but it hasn't mattered because one rounding wasn't considered important. After this point, one rounding is going to become more and more common, and so the fact that the Lightning Sword doesn't one round is considered more of a detriment.
No, we have Cliff use his combat art, which deals a lot of damage to Desaix. And but the downside is that Desaix's AI, much like a lot of enemies in SOV, have a coward AI where they will basically value their self-preservation more or less over suicidal tendencies that you might see from other enemies in other Fire Emblems.
Yes, Desaix has it especially bad. Most units will just retreat if they're below half HP, but Desaix will retreat if he's below 25, if he's below 75% HP. So he just never likes fighting. He's just a coward.
No, we got a pretty somewhat precarious enemy phase for Cliff here as he has to engage free armor knights. But despite what it looks like, him surviving, it's pretty reliable for the most part.
Here, Python continues his duel with the witch that he started in the previous turn. Python needs to hit 3 hits out of 7, which is not as unreliable, which means that even though he doesn't have a really good hit rate in a few of those attacks, he doesn't need to have the best hit rates. Here, Luthier is going to poke this knight. This knight is in the way of where Claire wants to be. Claire really needs to keep herself protected, really wants to fight as few enemies as possible because Claire's defense is really bad. But we need Claire in order to continue her string of dominating every map by saving turns. In this case, Claire needs to poke a Canor that only she's going to be able to reach. Um, only Canor, only Clive and Claire can reach that Canor, and Clive is obviously not going to kill it by itself, so Claire gets a little bit of chip in to kill the Canor.
And this is one of the one of the few instances where her class actually like helps her out in the sense that Claire is like the only unit who can actually end her turn while on a wall, which I don't think any other unit at this point we have on Alm side can really say.
Yeah, I don't think any unit you ever get on Alm side other than Claire can say that.
And then we have Python here missing again, but that's fine because we have time on our side. One interesting thing is that one of these archers is actually level 1 and isn't really scaled up, which looks like a programming oversight by intelligent systems.
Okay, so Claire gets to do her job, which she has spent the whole map getting to kill to poke that one Canor in the corner so that Clive can actually kill him.
And then so Matilda is saved, and at this point we're just pretty much cleaning up the remaining enemies on the map here.
The important thing is the Desaix kill. Normally, you would use Luthier to get an Excalibur crit to finish off Desaix, but instead we're going to use a Fire Spell combination with Cliff using Fouderant to finish off Desaix. And we also are going to need to get Faye some EXP. Faye does exactly enough damage to one-shot this injured Armor Knight, which is really nice because it lets Faye get closer to the really critical level of level 8. Here NTR viewer is going to start crashing
But
because NTR viewers are. So what I did is I kill the the archer with Mage Gray. Desaix himself gets poked by Luthier, finished off by Cliff with Fouderant, and then the final archer in the left side gets killed by Tobin with an Excalibur.
and then here we just watch as the video kind of just starts failing us a little bit, but but Gordon pretty much summed up like what needed to happen.
Yeah, so that was Cliff killing him with Fouderant, and then Tobin uses Excalibur. And that was Desaix's Fortress cleared in 3 turns. I'll see you guys next time for the for Alm 3-5 and rigging away map spawns. Bye.
See you guys.